A year had passed since the Muslims won at the Battle of Badr, but the Quraysh of Makkah, they couldn't forget and they couldn't forgive. The Quraysh were burning with revenge, so they gathered an army of over 3,000 strong men. And this time, they brought along with them their women too, not for comfort, but to shout, sing, and push them in to fight harder. Their goal, crush the Muslims once and for all. They marched all the way to Medina and set up camp near Mount Uhud. Their horses roamed freely. Their intentions were clear. Back in Medina, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam sat with his companions. Should they go out to face the enemy or stay in the city and defend from the rooftops? The young men, those who missed Badr, wanted to go out. They had prayed for this chance. They dreamed of standing for Islam. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, respecting the majority, went inside and came out wearing his armor and decided to fight outside Medina. It was time for the Battle of Uhud. The Battle of Uhud was about to begin. With 1,000 men, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam set off for the battlefield of Uhud. But along the way, something unexpected happened. Abdullah ibn Ubay, the chief of hypocrites, wanted that the Muslims should stay inside Medina. And so he was unhappy that his opinion was ignored. He turned back, and with him nearly 300 men walked away, one-third of the army gone. But one companion, Abdullah ibn Haram, chased after them. He pleaded, even if you don't believe in Allah or the last day, at least defend your city. Still they refused to listen. And then came a verse from the Quran. And so he may expose the hypocrites when they were told, come, fight in the way of Allah, or at least defend yourselves. They replied, if we had known there would be fighting, we would have followed you. On that day, they were closer to disbelief than to faith. With fewer soldiers, the Muslims marched on. What would happen at Uhud? The Muslims camped with their backs to Mount Uhud. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam drew a brilliant plan. He placed 50 archers on a small hill behind the army and said to them, stop the enemy's cavalry with your arrows. No matter what happens, win or lose, stay where you are. Even if you see us being wiped out or winning big, don't move. With this plan in place, Prophet Muhammad wore his armor and picked the strongest, bravest men to lead the charge. He held out a sword and asked, who will take this and give it its due? Only one man stepped forward, a highly skilled swordman, Abu Dujana. He took the sword, tied a red band around his head, the sign that he was ready to fight till death. He walked into the fight, saying, I made a promise to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I will never stay behind. I'll strike with the sword of Allah and His Messenger. Hanzala ibn Abi Amir, another companion, he had just gotten married, but when he heard the call to defend Islam, he left his new bride and rushed to the battlefield. He was martyred. This is how urgent his sacrifice was. The Quraysh flag bearer Talha ibn Abi Talha al-Abdari came forward, challenging the Muslims to a duel. Ali ibn Abi Talib accepted his challenge. Ali took him down in one swift move, off his camel and onto the ground. Talha ibn Abi Talha's brother Uthman came forward and took the Quraysh flag. But Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, the Lion of Allah, brought him to a similar fate. It was the family of Talha ibn Abi Talha that was responsible for the Meccan army's flag bearing, and thus one by one Talha's brothers and sons went to retrieve the Meccan banner and fight unsuccessfully until they all eventually perished. When the battle began, it felt like the Muslims were 10 times their number. They fought with such strength, such bravery, it shocked the enemy. The Muslim had a clear upper hand till now, but hidden in the shadows was an Abyssinian slave, Wahshi. Hamza, uncle of the Prophet ﷺ, charged through the enemy, cutting down anyone who stood in his way. Wife of Abu Sufyan, Hind, wanted to take revenge of her father, Abu Jahl, who was killed by Hamza at the Battle of Badr. She told her slave Wahshi, if you kill Hamza, you are free. Wahshi waited, hiding, watching. Then he saw Hamza strike down another man with a mighty blow. That's when Wahshi threw his spear. It hit Hamza and went straight through. Hamza turned towards Wahshi, but then he fell. Hamza was martyred. Wahshi didn't stay to fight. He picked up his spear, walked away, and waited to be set free. The Muslims were winning, but things were about to take a sudden turn. The martyrdom of Hamza was a huge blow, but the Muslims didn't stop. The flag was now in the hands of Musab ibn Umair, a young man of faith and honor, but he too was martyred. Immediately, Ali ibn Abi Talib stepped forward to lift the banner. The Muslims fought with unmatched spirit. Their cries shook the enemy ranks. They shouted, Amutu, Amudu, let me die, let me die. They would rather die in glory than live in defeat. Meanwhile, the Quraysh had brought their women to fuel the fire. Led by Hind bint Utbah, wife of Abu Sufyan, they sang, they provoked, they threatened. Stay with it, Banu Addar. Strike with every sword you bear. Advance and we shall embrace you. Retreat and we are done with you, Hind said. But the Muslims couldn't be broken. They pushed forward. The Quraysh were being driven back, their lines breaking. Victory was within reach. Even Hind and the Quraysh women started fleeing. Abdullah ibn Zubair later said, I saw their legs uncovered as they ran. No one was chasing them. Then it happened. Remember, the Prophet ﷺ had said to the 50 archers, stay where you are. Do not move, even if you win. Do not move, even if you lose. But as the Quraysh retreated, the archers saw the battlefield littered with treasures and spoils. Some of them said, victory is ours. Let's not miss our share. One moment of desire, a flicker of greed, and discipline shattered. With their posts unguarded, the mountain pass, their rear was now exposed. Khalid ibn Walid, the future sword of Allah, but now still a commander of the idolaters, he saw his chance. He quickly came from behind with his army, killed the remaining 9 archers. He charged through the gap. The Muslims caught between two forces, panicked. Victory turned into confusion. Order turned into chaos. All it took was a moment of disobedience, a spark of worldly temptation, and the tide of Uhud turned. Khalid saw the gap. Swift and sharp, he seized the moment. He led his men around the mountain and fell upon the Muslims from behind. The idolaters, seeing the sudden shift, regrouped. A woman, Amrah bint al-Qama al-Harithiyya, picked up their fallen banner, and the Quraysh rallied around her. It was like being crushed between the mortar and pestle. Chaos, confusion. But remember, these were free men, Sahaba. They may have been caught off guard, but they would not fall without a fight. They fought bravely to survive, to shield each other, to reach the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ himself was now in the thick of it. A stone struck him, breaking his noble teeth, cutting his blessed face. The rumor spread that the Prophet ﷺ was killed. The rumor spread like a wildfire. The hearts of the Muslims shattered. Many thought it was over, but the Prophet ﷺ stood up, wounded, bleeding, but unbroken. He said, come to me, O servants of Allah. His voice rose above the battle cries. About 30 loyal companions ran to him, but the damage was done. The battlefield was littered with the bodies of the faithful. But then peace. Drowsiness overcame them, a divine gift of tranquility. The Quraysh too had enough. Though they had struck a blow, they couldn't break the Muslims. They began retreating. But was it a trick? The Prophet ﷺ told Ali to investigate. He told Ali, if they ride camels, they go to Mecca. If they ride horses, they come to Medina. By Allah, if they return, we will fight them inside Medina. Ali returned with the news that they were riding camels. The Quraysh were heading home. As the Quraysh prepared to leave the battlefield of Uhud, their leader Abu Sufyan turned towards the mountain and shouted into the wind, we have had our revenge. War is a cycle. Today for the day of Badr, exalted be Hubal. He praised his idol. But the Prophet ﷺ would not let that pass. He turned towards Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu and said to him, O Umar, respond to him. And Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu replied, Allah is more exalted and more sublime. Your dead are in the fire. As Abu Sufyan turned to leave, he flung one last challenge into the air. Your rendezvous is Badr next year. The Prophet ﷺ replied, yes, came the reply. It is an appointment between us and you. And so they left. The Meccans battered but boasting. The Muslims wounded yet unwavering. The Battle of Uhud was not a defeat, it was a test of loyalty, of patience, of clarity in chaos.